Hey, what's going on, you guys? Welcome to the video, TowerOfFantasy. My name is Ventus. In this video, I'm going to give you my Germ Blade Claudia build that is absolutely broken and overpowered and 100% like gets me top DPS every single time. Now, I'm not saying that I am like the best DPS in the game, but if you're wondering what build to use with Claudia Germ Blade, you just got her. I'm going to give you exactly what I use and tell you how to make this thing hit really friggin' hard a lot of the time. All right, so firstly, this is an attack build. That means when you use the attack, you're going to be using 2 attack type weapons and then something else, either a shield breaker or some sort of healing support weapon. Alright, so the weapons that I use for this are going to be the Scythe of the Crows, King's weapon, and I just got that to 3 stars after farming Artificial Island. And trust me, if you haven't started farming Artificial Island, do it because they give you a lot of rewards. Alright, so I got Scythe of the Crows, the Germ Blade, obviously, and then my other weapon I've got for support for a little bit of heals is going to be Nemesis and Venus. Nemesis and Venus. Alright, so as far as weapon chips and matrices go, first I'll start with Scythe of the Crows and show you exactly what I have on this weapon. And it's going to be this Sobek's chip. It's called Scheme, and the 3-piece set of this increased damage dealt by 6%, 7.5% because I have 1 star of this chip set, 7.5%, 9% for each enemy nearby, up to 3 stacks. Now in this build, the Scythe of the Crows is actually going to be the big damage weapon because its discharge skill, it attacks a large area and it like just destroys everything. So if you're doing these 90 seconds, these 60 seconds over an artificial island, you definitely want to use Scythe of the Crows, and you definitely want to use the Sobek chipset to deal massive damage to everything in the area. I've done it like for hours and hours and hours on end last night, just farming, and this actually works really friggin' well. It also works really good on operations where you fight a group of enemies as well. So that is the Sobek chipset, and I've got those at like level 50. All right, so next weapon we're going to talk about is Nemesis Venus. Now I have no stars on Nemesis Venus. I just have it at base form, and the chipset that I run on this one is going to be the Echo Until the End, and that 3-piece set is using a discharge skill to switch to the current weapon grants 80 because I only have 1 star of all of these chips. Well, I have 2 stars of 2 of these chips, but I don't have the other stars of the chips, so it's only at 1 star. So using a discharge skill to switch to the current weapon grants 80, 100, 120 weapon charge. So I use this weapon for a couple different things. I use it for heals, I use it for DOT, and I use it to get my weapon charge when I switch to another weapon so I can quickly get that discharge skill, so I can quickly get right back to Scythe of the Crows to deal massive damage to whatever I'm fighting. Now, these Echo chipsets, they're SR chipsets. I don't have them as strong as I would like because I've been diverting all of my resources, so they're only at level 40 for the most part. But if you get these things level 50, I guarantee you they are going to hit impossibly hard. And then finally, on the Germ Blade. Now, I actually have Claudia's Germ Blade at 1 star because I was able to accidentally pull it again for whatever luck of the reason. And the chipset that I use on this specific build, now this is not going to be the best damaging build for the Germ Blade. That's going to be another video, but this is just for weapon charge. And that is going to be the Pepper Sleeping Pill, or no, the Pepper Nonstop, I'm sorry. Pepper Nonstop increased speed of obtaining weapon charge by 10% or 12.5% or 15%. I don't have any stars of this chipset either, but listen, this chipset is probably the best SR chipset that there is, right, for gaining weapon charge. And what's really cool about Claudia and the Germ Blade is that when I was testing it and playing with it and trying to deal damage with it on these different operations, I realized something, that the Germ Blade, Claudia, is really good at getting weapon charge. Even without the Pepper chipset, the Germ Blade gets weapon charge that fast. So I was like, well, what if I put the Pepper chipset on there? Will it get weapon charge even faster? And yes, oh my god, 1 skill of the Germ Blade literally get your weapon charge like that, and you can get right back to the Scythe of the Crows and deal damage. Or if you need heals really quick, you can switch over to Nemesis and use the discharge skill there. Or if you're not using Nemesis Venus, you're using something else for healing, you can get that healing ASAP. Whatever the case may be, using Pepper chipset on Germ Blade is the bee's knees. Now, when it comes to relic options, what you're seeing me use in this gameplay, I've got the SSR relic confinement, and I like the confinement because I don't have any stars on the confinement. Now, Now, I don't have any stars on the confinement, but it creates this giant ring that pulses, right? And when you're doing these 90 and these 60-second operations over in Artificial Island, or you're in just a regular operation, or whatever the case may be, whatever content you're in, you're getting damage over time. The thing that sucks about the confinement is that it does have a long cooldown time, but it traps a lot of things in. and it gets you damage, especially when you're in those operations and you're trying to like beat the damage numbers. This is exactly what it does. It helps you to do that. Another option that I would probably use if I wasn't using confinement, obviously I have what, 4 stars of the missile barrage, so that's always going to be a go-to for damage. Hovering cannon as well is really good too. And then if you want another option that allows you to be in the fight just as good, I've got the SR relic of the cybernetic arm. And another cybernetic arm is really known for its ability to sort of get you to places, but at 1-star advancement, it activates, it produces a EM shield that reduces damage taken by 20% for 7 seconds. So that could be really huge. I haven't really used it in operations that much, but it sounds like that would be a really good idea. But definitely try those relics out. Try the confinement, because I feel like the confinement is one of the best things for dealing AoE damage. Also, the grenade might be pretty good for dealing AoE damage as well. Maybe even the magnetic storm. All right, and just really quickly, how I like to use this is I will start off whatever I'm doing, a raid, operation, 90 seconds, 60 seconds, doesn't matter, whatever the case may be. I'll start off with the Germ Blade. I'll start off with Claudia and do my damage, get a couple of basic attacks off, maybe get a dodge skill off, and after that, go straight into the skill. The skill has a ridiculously low cooldown time, like 15 seconds or 10 seconds or something crazy like that. You hit that skill once. If you don't have your weapon charge by now, you're gonna get your weapon charge with like the next attack or maybe even the next skill if you're attacking a group of enemies. And speaking of attacking a group of enemies, the Germ Blade is amazing for attacking a group of enemies. So that's how you get your weapon charge so fast, because the more enemies you attack, the more your weapon charge is going to build up, so you can use those discharge skills. So I run in there with the Germ Blade, hit the skill one time, hit some basic attacks, hit a dodge skill, whatever the case may be, and then after that, switch over and use a discharge. Discharge is always first going to be Nemesis Venus, so I can get those electrodes out there. I have the simulacra for Nemesis and her awakened abilities. I'm sorry, I can't talk. I have Nemesis awakened ability to where those electrodes will give me healing back, and I have that one activated. I have it always activated because you never can trust these randoms with giving you heals, so that's going to be your own personal heals. Any build that I run pretty much is always going to have Nemesis Venus on there because of those heals. So I switched Nemesis Venus, hit the discharge skill, get those electrodes out there so I get the DOT. That's going to be extra damage over time. After that, you get the healing, and then from there I switch right back to the Germ Blade and do some more attacks, because by the time you hit the electrode, your skill with the Germ Blade Claudia is going to be back, and you can go hit it again, build up that weapon charge ASAP, and then go straight into King, Sight to the Crows, and deal damage. Do the skill one time, do a rotation of attack, and then go right back to the Germ Blade, and then hit the skill, hit the basic attacks, hit the dodge skill. Your charge is back again, and then you can go right back into King. I think 2 rotations of this, you should go back to the Nemesis Venus for that next discharge skill, unless whatever you're fighting is dead, or somebody else is actually healing. You don't really need it. Actually, you know what? You always want to go back to Nemesis Venus to get that extra DOT, because that's the idea of this build, is to be able to get quick discharges and do damage. All right, and that is it. That's it for the build. Let me know what you think about it down in the comments. If you have any questions or suggestions for this build, feel free to let me know in the comment section. Also, while you're here, while you're on this video, click the like button if this video was able to give you any help or you saw something that you enjoyed, and also check my channel. Come on over to the channel, look at some of the videos that I've made already for Tower Fantasy, because you might see something that you need and you didn't know you need. All right, my name is Ventus again. Thank you guys so much. You've been awesome. I appreciate your time, and I hope this build was able to help you. I'll catch you next time.